morning, everybody. We are back from vacation, I guess if you want to call it that, but we're hitting the ground running. We're on our way now to Shiloh Baptist Church in Windsor, Virginia, to offer we're doing an on-site as well as offering a counter offer or additional offer, I guess, for the ministry that's looking to enhance their audio and video systems. Also, we're cleaning up a lot of the stuff that we have in here. I got everything packed up, and we're going to be stopping by Signs and Wonders and see how much wiring we can get done today, mainly looking at dropping off all the other equipment that's here, their custom computer for their presentation, video editing, and all this other good stuff, which reminds me I need to download DaVinci Resolve on here. But also just deliver all the rest of the stuff, maybe mount a bunch of the TV mounts for all of the TVs that we're going to be installing. But the main thing, we want to bust a bunch of holes and run cables and Ethernet jacks to each room and every TV that's possible that's going to be wired on the administration side, and get as much done because they're going to be fixing the holes and painting everything I'm doing. So I want to get that as much done as possible. Got a meeting at church, and then also the highlight of the day is to pick up my little girl and spoil on her and love on her and have some daddy-daughter time. But let me take some meds, get some breakfast, and get on the road, and let's head to Windsor, Virginia.
That'll be one of the TVs. What we want to do is kind of put the announcements up there, split it off, and kind of put the announcements there. Right now, everything is flowing through all the screens, whatever is on one screen, which is above.
Okay.
Come on in. Somewhere along the line, I think I mentioned to you about some lighting. I was looking at we're using in here. Of course, the one TV up at the top is the one for the pulpit. Your cameras that we're using now was one right over here. You got one right above your head, and we have another one over there. This TV right here is one of them if you want to give you a little bit of light.
Okay, it's
TV. What's up? Now I got to adjust that thing so it's oh, okay. Slam it and the pictures fall off. Alright.
Yeah, it's the same type of...
All of the cabling?
Yeah, so what y'all got is, like I said, either we have to pull all the cable and change it to RG6 and convert it so it'll be pure HD that goes to all your TVs, or run a fiber optic HDMI cable to every TV. Either way, the wiring would need to be changed.
I got you. Alright. I guess you can see these globes are kind of single wire.
Oh, y'all got a lot of space.
Yeah, we got quite a bit of space for whatever you need.
That's the original one that we had at our church.
Come on, man. When did you get rid of it?
I got rid of it in 2011.
Oh, man.
All right, folks, so you know how we do it. We're going to be walking through, this is another what if of how I would do it, and just giving a suggestion here at Shiloh Baptist Church. So we're here in the media room right now, and right now they have their current setup here with their video and then their audio station right here. So a lot of great space in here. I feel like the Property Brothers here. So let me spin this around. So what I would do is, they were looking at getting rid of all of this. Thinking about going with an ATEM television studio, HD, or maybe even a production one because of it's available. But maybe the television studio. Put that in a rack mount over here somewhere, but then put a 32-inch screen on this wall for the multi-view that will give everybody a full desk, maybe even do a countertop from off of here all the way to this wall to give it a long space to work on, and then put the joysticks, controls, everything here to control the live stream here. Maybe build a dedicated system for their presentation software as well. That would free up all of this stuff, because they still play DVDs through the system, but we'll put a DVD player inside the computer, so all of that can go away and it'll be controlled over here. Their current sound right now, we could just run a line from the tape out to give it audio, but ultimately maybe migrate this to maybe a rack mounted X32 or Persona, something like that, to where it can be controlled directly or over a tablet wirelessly, just to avoid people having to come upstairs the entire time. That's what I'm thinking. That would free up a lot of this. That rack mount that's there, maybe even put that on another wall right here to mount that, or maybe even a rack mount up under here, or some other way to give the wireless mics direct access. Don't put any more walls in the way of reaching to it if possible. Looks like it's a clean way to go to all of the spots. Similar at Union Grove Baptist Church, the RG59s were converted over to RCA cables. So pretty much all of those cables will need to be replaced. We can go with SDI cables, RG6, or fiber optic cables, whichever one. Looking at pulling the TVs down as well, and maybe go with some 75s to give them bigger here. Repurpose those TVs either for a backstage display or into the fellowship hall. Pull this TV down and because we're going to put the stage display lower here, and 3 cameras. One is right here that I can actually see the wiring. 2, these cameras will be replaced. And also thinking about building out a unified network as well, which would give them access to wired internet, because we're out here in the area that broadband isn't readily available here, but it will in the future. He's already looked at videos talking about Starlink. There are some other alternatives, but the main thing is build out a foundation for their network, which does not exist now, which will give them Wi-Fi throughout the building and hardwire connections in a centralized location that once whatever internet is provided, it will give them a faster speed. Also thinking, since they're using vMix, maybe a web presenter, 4K, similar to what I have, that can output everything from vMix, because that's what they're currently using. But just like I do on my Q&As, vMix would output to the web presenter, and the web presenter doesn't have that much of an overhead from software and OS running, to where it can go through its original connection. Right now they're using a jetpack to live stream, which may give them better performance right now. But since we built out the network, that would allow for a lot more stable whether they go with Starlink or any other offerings that are here in the area. So you know how we're going to do it. We're going to take you there. Plus, we took you in the attic, so we already see it's a lot easier to get to a lot of the spaces here. A lot of the wiring is going to be redone, and just make it cleaner, nicer, and more manageable. And more importantly, rebuild the foundation so that this doesn't have to be done again if they want to add some other enhancements. Also, there was a TV in the entrance. Maybe even look at doing one of the smart video hubs like we did at Good Shepherd, so that dynamically at a press of a button, all of these TVs can show the same thing or something completely different. You never know. But you know how we do it. Let's go ahead and cut over to the computer and let's design this thing out. Alrighty, folks, we are back here. Let's go ahead and cut over to the computer and let's design this system for Shiloh Baptist Church. Alrighty, folks, this is going to be a big one. And kind of, because again, it's been like a lot of the stuff that I've been doing has been either upgrading, obviously, or fixing a lot of stuff that, the nicest way I can possibly say it, was kind of like thrown together, which I'm not meaning that in a mean way. That's how my stuff was. And then as more time has gone by, I've learned a better way of implementing. So that's what this is going to be. So let's go ahead and design this here. All right, so what we're going to do is let's start with the televisions and work backwards. And I'm going to put a couple of things in here because there's some enhancements and some gear that I've used already before that I think which will be very beneficial to this. And I'm going to lump these together, hopefully to make it look a lot neater while I'm putting this stuff together. And I'm going to try and relatively put them in their locations so that we can get an understanding of which is what. All right, so in the front, we're going to have our left sanctuary TV. Did I spell it right? No, I didn't. All right, we got, of course it messed up. And then we're going to do right. These are going to be replaced with 75-inch screen TVs. This back one is going to be a 75 as well too, which is going to be a stage display because TVs are kind of small for the space, and everybody's saying it's actually difficult to actually see them. One of the original TVs. Actually, I need to do two in here. There's already a TV in the fellowship hall, but one of the other TVs that was originally hanging inside the sanctuary, we're going to repurpose that and move that into the fellowship hall. So Fellowship TV 1, then Fellowship TV 2. And then I don't know, I always spell that wrong. I'm going to just do Entrance TV. All right, so we got all these TVs here. Let's space it out a little bit so it's going to make doing the wiring, the lines drawn here, a little bit easier. Now, in this setup, I'm actually going to do two options, mainly because the ATEM Television Studio is actually hard to find. But I'm going to do it with that one as first. Would use the ATEM Television Studio HD for this. And we're going to add 4 PTZ cameras in here. And I'm just going to put these side by side so it makes it easier to place these. Give them a little bit of room. All right, so this is going to be back, left, right, and baptism. Because they have one that's kind of hard for everybody to see, and we did something like this at Community Independent Methodist Church. So if we're doing this with the ATEM Television Studio, and they already have RG59, I would replace those with RG6 cable and re-terminate all of these. Let's make this a little bit bigger to give me one extra dot here. Thought it would give me an extra connection dot, but I guess not. Anyway, we're going to have something like this. All right. And let's thicken these cables out. Make it easier to understand which one is which. And, we would just do, now, there's a reason why I'm going to talk about this, and I'll explain this later. We can run with the ATEM Television Studio a separate output to each one of these TVs because all of them already have RG59 going to each one of them. So all we would need to do is just, pull the cable, tie off the new cable to the TV, and then just move from there. So that part is easy. Let's get all the rest of these here. And there's a reason I'm labeling every single one of them like this. All right. So each TV. Now in this setup, every single TV is going to show the exact same thing. Now, based off of what they said, what they want to do is this one is just going to always show announcements. All right. And then Fellowship Hall TV would be able to show what's actually going on in the live stream, or it might just be always the back camera, or the production that's going to be ran from the media booth. All right. Back TV is always going to be a stage display. All right. And then the left and right can be pretty much presentation only. Now, the reason I bring this up is because depending on what is going to be on each TV, we're going to need a little bit more intelligence to handle this. And this is similar to what we did at Good Shepherd. This is where we would introduce the Smart Video Hub. All right. And the way this would work, and I really don't want to do it this way, but let's see if I can just, no, it won't let me do it. All right. So this is how we need to do this. Every input and every output needs to go into this video hub. You can get a 12 by 12. That's ins and outs, 12 inputs, 12 outputs, a 20 by 20, a 40 by 40, an 80 by 80. They have a bunch of them. We did a 20 by 20 at Good Shepherd, if I can recall. So that's our output. Now, the difference with this is we would bring every single input here as well, too. So each camera would go to the input as well. All right. That's how this will work. But now all of the inputs that are going to the ATEM will be considered outputs. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and there are 8 inputs here. So what's that? 14. So now we're going to have, and I guess I should have did these as different colors to make it easier to know. Well, no, the arrow should work. Hopefully y'all would get that. All of the 8 outputs would need to go here. So 4 of them would be SDI. The Smart Video Hub is all SDI. So we would need to, actually, let's do 4 SDI outputs. And then we would have another SDI to HDMI. 4 of these would handle the other 4 outputs that need to be turned into 4 HDMI. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 outputs. We would still have 6 left. Anything else that's coming into the Smart Video Hub would need to be converted to SDI. So that does add a price on how many inputs that are going to go in. But right now, we would do that, and then we are going to build a custom computer as well too. So we would need to have a HDMI to SDI converter here that will take the HDMI output from the computer, convert it over into this. And let me change these colors so that we know which one is which. So I hope y'all get that on how all of that's going to work. Now, the other thing, because they have very poor internet in the area, I am going to introduce the web presenter here, which I think right now they were using vMix. But the reason I'm introducing the web presenter is because we can hook up a mobile device or a hotspot over USB to the web presenter, and the workload is a lot lower, not having to balance the operating system and everything, and it can handle the live stream. We'll do a 4K one, but obviously scale it down to where it's not going to use all of that, and we can run the aux out from the ATEM television studio, and this will handle the live stream. All right. So this is the video setup that I have originally. And then, of course, we need a joystick. And how all of these are going to be working, it's going to be IP controlled, so we don't have to really connect it to anything. And I need a switch, network switch. Going to put a PoE switch there in the area, which is going to power everything. So how we're going to do it. We plug it up to the smart video hub. Let's get our colors right. The ATEM, each one of the cameras that provides it power. And I know some of the stuff sounds redundant, but again, I do this as my schematic so that I know what's going on as well too. So I can always come back and look at this and be like, oh, wait a minute, I forgot this, I didn't do this, things like that. Because believe it or not, there's sometimes I forget some of the stuff that I do, and I look back at these videos to refresh myself on exactly what I'm supposed to be doing on these installs. And I guess I'm going to loop this over so it's up out of the way. Let's bring these lines all the way over. And I'll just loop these up and over. Right. Oh, and then the web presenter. Now, the mindset of this is that I'm going to wire everything, and we're going to build their network too, because they don't have anything. We're going to do a complete unified system here so that when faster internet options are available, everything is already taken care of. Oh, and then we also need a connection to the computer, all this other stuff. All right. Now we're going to put a UDM Pro in there to be the router, the intelligent brain of everything. Start off with just a 24-port PoE switch. That should be good. And maybe about 3 access points, one in the sanctuary, one inside of the fellowship hall, and another one in that back hallway. And that should be enough for there. So let's do I'll just use this right here. Even though I'm not using it like this, I'll just call it my access point. Well, let's just do AP1, 1, 2, and 3. And if we need to, we can always run this into another PoE switch there, which is the beauty of using Unify stuff. They also want to do security cameras, which this whole setup can do as well too. But the only issue is Ubiquity's website is horrendously backordered with their cameras. I got a bunch of ministries that want cameras, but I can't do anything because the cameras are not available. But this infrastructure, the foundation, will put everything in place. We'll run the cables to the places where they want cameras to be. Once the cameras are available, we order them when we can and just put them in place, and boom, there we go. All right. And I did that backwards. I need a connection to our controller. All right, this is what we got so far. Looks like a lot because it is. All right, and then another thing we're going to be adding is we're going to be upgrading their board. We're going to almost do the same thing that we're doing with a couple of churches right now. We're going to use maybe the X32 Compact or the Producer, make it even smaller, but we're going to use two S16 digital snakes because they have a older snake there that needs that many channels. So we're just gonna daisy chain these together just like I'm doing, which you don't have a video on that. Y'all, I don't have a video on that yet, but that's what I'm working on. This is gonna be connected here over a single cable, and then this one is connected to this one locally, which is you can't see it, but I have it right over here. That's how the one that's going to be set up for Abundant Life is going to be. So I'm going to use those as purple because even though it uses Ethernet, but it's a completely different standard. You can't use the same thing. And then this just plugs into the ATEM. XLRs over, if we go with that. If we don't do the television studio, we might go with the production 4K just to make it simple so everything is exactly the same. With this setup, we don't have to change speakers, but we will be able to wire and have everything plugged in. All of the instruments, keyboard, drums, bass, guitar, everything will be done. And this will allow the Smart Video Hub to say, hey, if we want to just have another computer plugged in, that's going to be routed directly to that entrance TV, and that's all it's ever going to be. We can intelligently switch all these TVs, but then at the same time, the ATEM can send anything that it needs to the program out, which honestly, I forgot to do that. The out of the ATEM needs to become an input into this as well too. Every input, any device that has an input, every device that has an output has to go into the Smart Video Hub. That way it can intelligently do this. So now in the Smart Video Hub, we're doing the program out, which is what the live stream would see. We can send that to any one of these TVs on demand, or all of them, or a mixture of these TVs at any time. The aux out is always going to be the program. So the web presenter doesn't need to be worried about it at all. Now, this will give them the freedom to switch anything in any way, shape, or form that they want. If they don't want that, let's go ahead and save this. And then we're going to save number 2. And this is where we will make a modification. If they did not do this, what we would do is take that video hub up out of the picture and change this to a ATEM Mini Extreme. Now, I didn't label a bunch of stuff. I didn't do the multi-view and things like that. Just know that that has to be there as well too. And now what this would be is all of these cables now would become fiber HDMI cables. And also realize all of these would need to have an SDI to HDMI converter on each TV, which would be more costly. What we will do is bring this over here. this HDMI out. This is gone. That's gone. The web presenter is gone because the ATEM will be able to stream itself. All right. So again, making this a lot simpler, but we lose some functionality with this. So this can go away. This can go away. The computer can go directly into the ATEM. Let's move our digital snakes over here, up and out of the way. So all of these will come in. Now, what we lose, and then obviously we need to put a HDMI splitter here. Where's my square? Oh, it's right there. So that's HDMI splitter. That'll be a 1x8 like we used before. And I'm not gonna, hopefully y'all can see what I'm doing. I'm gonna put these here and then just change the color, because all of these, I don't want to have to redraw all of this. Y'all get the idea. These will be fiber cables. And again, I might do the same thing. Just put this HDMI splitter closer to that side, the front of the building, run one single cable there, and then have an HDMI splitter that's in the back. If we did something like this, this will probably run 2 cables here, and then make this computer have an output to where it can loop here, put a Raspberry Pi on the TV, which we're going to be doing at Signs and Wonders. They can rotate announcements there, and it won't be connected to anything, or it might just be connected to HDMI number 2, and somebody would have to get a remote to switch over. That could work. By doing this, though, none of these TVs will give an option to have anything different unless they are wired appropriately. So, for example, if the stage display would probably be connected directly to the computer so that it can be a stage display completely that way. And let me mark this in a way that's easy to see. You know, it either would have to be connected that way, and then maybe if the left and right sanctuary TVs are only for presentation, scripture, and lyrics, they need to be connected directly to the computer as well too, with another feed from the computer being split going into the ATEM. Yeah, it starts to get a little complicated, but I like to have multiple options so that they can have a choice on what they want to do. So if they wanted to do that, we'd have another splitter here, HDMI splitter, and that can be a simple 1x2. This connects to here, and then this connects to each one of the TVs. Now, in this setup, this will allow the front TV and the front TVs in the sanctuary and the back TVs to only show this, but then we would have a duplicate going into the ATEM so that the live stream and anybody else can see the presentation stuff. Yeah, it's a little bit much, but hey, that's how it would work. Interesting to say the least, but it is doable. So let me know if y'all have any questions, because it's not complicated. It's just really knowing what you want each TV to be done, because technically all of the lines that are going to the TVs have to be replaced. Either we're going to go with SDI cable and put an SDI to HDMI converter on each TV, or get rid of the cable and go fiber optic HDMI cable to each TV. Either way, the cables have to be replaced because all of the setup that they have is done in SD. They're not even leveraging anything. And because their networking and availability of internet is not there, I want to use the ATEM Mini Extreme or the Web Presenter because it can use their hotspot to connect to it over a direct wire, or it can be connected to a web presenter that can use it, and there's less overhead to be able to leverage the internet. Like sometimes people who haven't been able to live stream with OBS were able to use the ATEM because the ATEM can stream at 5 megabits and less, and it was able to do that. That might be an option, but by us building out the network at the same time, it will leverage them and set them up in the future. So when they go with Starlink, they go with any other broadband that once it gets to their area out in Windsor, Virginia, they're ready. They just have to have a connection go in and boom, they're good to go. So I will write this up, send this off to them, as well as have a link down below to every single thing that we're going to be doing. So again, please feel free to email me. And I know I got a bunch of questions people have emailed me. I haven't had a chance to answer. I've answered them directly as best as I could, but we're going to get back on that. So my apologies for that. But let me know if you have any questions. This is the reason why I do this stuff, so you can see exactly how this can work in your ministry or the other ministries that I happen to be working with. So folks, if you like this type of content, I appreciate a like, consider subscribing, hit that bell. That way you get notified when we come out with other videos to help modernize your media ministry. I want to thank the patrons and YouTube members for making videos like this possible. Their names are on the screen right now, and you too can become a patron for as little as $1 a month. Or you can click the join button down below and become a YouTube member. No matter which way you pick, folks, you are helping us train and empower media ministries all over the world. Thanks for watching, folks. This is AJ, and we will catch you on the next video. Later.